Hi guys, and welcome to episode 74 of the Crochetcakes podcast. A podcast about anything fiber related, mostly crochet, knitting, and sometimes a long time ago, sewing. I'm actually kind of hoping to get back into the sewing segment, but honestly guys, life, so you never know. In this week's episode, I want to first off apologize for the episode being a week late, but I will tell you more about why that is at the end of the episode, where I'm going to share with you life updates. And I'm also going to be sharing with you a finished object as well as some works in progress. And news, there is a video tutorial already live on the channel. I was viewing it today, which is Sunday, the 23rd of February. Yes, it is Sunday the 23rd of February, if that means anything to you. But that's when I'm recording this podcast. So I checked the video tutorial today, which uploaded yesterday, and I realized that in the editing process, there's a little bit of a mistake. It's not anything that would impede you from actually making the pattern. It's just really annoying. But anyway, I think I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So why don't I just start off by saying hello and welcome. My name is Clarissa Beth, and you can find me everywhere on the internet as Crochetcakes. You can follow my blog or my website at crochetcakes.com. You may also find me on Pinterest, Instagram, here on YouTube. I'm probably going to be starting a Facebook page for this podcast soon, so there will be a Facebook group for this podcast. So if you prefer Facebook to Instagram or anything like that, then that's where we'll be. I think maybe, I don't know, how many of you actually prefer using Facebook and participating in Facebook groups? Because I don't want to just start something that none of us are really going to get into. I want to start something that each one of us will participate in. So let me know in the comments below how much you actually use Facebook and how likely you would be to participate in a Facebook group. Please and thank you. Right, so now that we've gotten just a little bit of channel admin out of the way, we're reaching the end of February, guys. This is the last week of February, and it actually feels like the year is getting there, you know? It's like it's actually started. I don't know, I can't be the only one that's feeling that way, but through January I was kind of still in a little bit of a slug, and I don't know how else I can describe it, but the end of February does mean that we are approaching March. And for those of you who've been with the podcast for a while, or follow my blog, or I don't know, follow me on Instagram, my birthday's in March, and to celebrate it, on the 12th of February, I started posting daily to Instagram stories. So if you don't follow me on Instagram and you want to know what it's about, then please go ahead and click the follow button on Instagram so that you may catch up with these stories. I'm calling them 30 before 30 because they're 30 things I have learned before I have reached 30. And it will, of course, end when I turn 30 on the 12th of March. Maybe I'll have to do a double post because I'm pretty sure at some point I missed posting a day, but I'm gonna have to count. And don't fret if you feel like you're missing out, because I did save the 30 before 30. There is a highlights on my profile page on Instagram, so you can go and review them. But like I said, they're just little tidbits of things that I've realized, learned, or encountered before I've turned 30. And it's just my way of giving more of myself to the crafting community and reaching out to other people, whether you're like-minded or not, because I think that's the beauty of it. We all bring something different to the table. That's why we watch so many different podcasts, and why I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by looking at the screen because the lighting in this video is really good, And that probably has to do with the fact that it's really sunny outside. It's Florida weather again. It is around 80 degrees today and beautifully sunny. So I've got my windows open, so if you can hear any ambient noise, that's why, but I just wanted to let that fresh hello spring air back in. Although later this week we are supposed to have some 40 to 60 degree weather, but I enjoy both weathers, so I can't really say I'm not gonna enjoy the 40 degree weather as opposed to the 80 degree weather. But anyway, on to the content of this podcast. I don't know if you tuned into episode 73, but if you did, you will realize I'm I am wearing something that I was working on in the last episode. And that is the Riveret top. And the Riveret top is a design featured in Pom Pom magazine. I believe it's issue 16. I know it was a spring issue. And the Riveret top is actually on the cover of the magazine. It's worn by a girl with light brown hair, and the color is kind of a bone or creamy white. So that's the issue you're looking for. I purchased mine on Ravelry. I do not actually own a physical copy, just a digital copy. And I thought it was very affordable because I think I paid $9 US dollars and I had the whole magazine issue, so I thought that was pretty cool. But for those of you that are familiar with this podcast, you may or may not remember that I've already made one version of this Riveret top, and it was in 2017 when Hurricane Maria just, kind of played with all of us a little bit. And that was an orange color, and I submitted it to the sweater make-along that was being hosted by Tamara of Crafty Escapism, and I'm blanking on the other name, but it's the first time I've ever actually won a prize on a cowl, so that was really exciting. And I always wanted to make a version of the Riveret top in mustard or yellow. It's been in my mind ever since I made the first one, and this year I finally got around to making a version of it. Now I know you can only really see the top, so I'm gonna lower my video a little bit and I will see you in like a couple seconds. Here we go. You can see a little bit more of the top. I'm gonna insert some pictures of me wearing the top so you can see all of it and we don't have to do the funny dance of me getting up and you not seeing anything. So essentially this version of the Riveret top, I've called it my Limoncello top because it is a very bright yellow. It is the lemon colorway from Lotus Yarns, which was a collaboration with Debbie Bliss and Conway. So I believe the sticker says Conway and Bliss. That's the yarn this is. And the makeup of the yarn is a cotton polyester blend. It is chain plied, so the crochet stitches are really well defined, which of course we all want and adore. And the construction of the top, it's basically crocheted in 4 panels, 2 for the back and 2 for the front. And then you have some raglan shaping. I'm kind of lifting my arms up now, so if you're watching the video, you can see how the raglan looks. But you basically crochet sideways, if that makes sense. So you start, and it's an L shape, and the upside, actually it's a 7. Yeah, it's a 7. So the little head of the 7 would be your shoulders, and then going downwards, that would be your body, and then you just build up sideways. So it's not, the crochet is not vertically, it's horizontally. That is what I'm trying to say. And I knew when I was making it that I wasn't going to have enough yarn because the pattern calls for 7 50-gram balls of whatever yarn they use, which I really forgot what it was. And I only had 5.5 left over, because this yarn was the yarn that I used to crochet the Secret Garden dress by Cassie Ward. And if you're interested in my thoughts on the yarn or anything like that, I will link the specific blog post down below in which I share with you my experience crocheting the Secret Garden dress and using this yarn. So anyway, this was the yellow that I had left over, and I also had green, which is kind of a tealy green, and it's called the apple colorway. I really don't understand why that is, but I used that green to join the blouse in the front and in the back, and I'm very happy. I put a lot of thought into how I was going to incorporate the green, and I have to say, at least from my perspective, it was a success. It's very bright, it's very fun, and I can see myself wearing this top a lot. Now, what are my thoughts on the Riveret pattern per se? It's a quick make. As I mentioned, it's got a really interesting construction because it's that upside down L or number 7 shape. I guess it's not really an issue, but a con maybe? Well, it's not really a con. Let me just explain to you what happened. Where she has you start joining the band on the front, kind of creates this weird curve. And I'm gonna stand up now so you can see the weird curve I'm talking about. But you guys see, it just doesn't meet, it just slants up towards the right side. So if we start at the left, it just kind of goes up. And I'm not a big fan of that little look. Then I'd wish I'd remembered that when I started crocheting this top instead of when I joined the front and the back, when I joined the two fronts together. But it's not something that would annoy me enough that I wouldn't wear it. Also, I can't say if it will come out with blocking or not because I have not blocked this shirt. I have worn it and I'm wearing it for you today, but I have not blocked it. Sorry. Another issue that I had, and I don't know if this was just me from the very beginning, but I never had the correct stitch count. When I was crocheting up and coming down on the sleeve, I had the correct stitch count on the sleeve and the body. But when I was coming back down, I never did. So I had to keep adding stitches to the sleeve so I would match the stitch count that she was saying you were supposed to have. And I found that just a little bit annoying, but again, that might have been me. I don't know if any of you out there have made this top and you found that you had that same problem. Please comment down below and let me know because we can learn from each other. Or, you know, you can just say, no, you just did it wrong from the very beginning, which is what I suspect, but I don't know, because in the very beginning, I had the correct stitch count. So, I don't know. Another little thing that I did, and this is not a mistake in the pattern, this was just preference, my preference. I did 2 rows less in the back to connect the shoulder because I did not want this green stripe to come too far down the front of the blouse. Does that make sense? So that's why I did I believe I did a row less. Yeah, just a row less because when I started decreasing, I had the right number of stitches 1 row before she said we should have it, and it was a little bit annoying. But, you know, I just played around with it and I managed to get there in the end, which is the important part, right? That you're happy with the actual project you've made and you don't want to just throw it in the crochet naughty corner and never hear from it, see it, or speak to it ever again. But that is my experience with the Riveret top, just a refresher for you and for me because I didn't remember much of how I made this top or anything like that. I still wear it though. I love wearing it during the fall. It's one of my go-to crochet outfits in the fall. I like to pair it with blue pants because blue and orange look good together, or, you know, very wintry black because black. But anywho, that is my finished object. I want to say it's my only finished object, but I do have a square to share with you, and I guess that in itself is one finished item. It's just not part of the finished object yet, and who knows if they'll ever get together to be that. But as I mentioned, I had uploaded a tutorial to my video channel, and it's a how to crochet a vintage flower square tutorial, and I'm going to share this. Ta-da! It's this lovely square that I think looks like a crocheted flower, and it is crocheted in Knit Picks Snuggle Puff. This one that I'm holding up right now, it's a Platypus colorway, and it is an icy gray purple. I think that's the perfect way to describe it. It's an icy gray, actually icy gray lilac. Yes, it's an icy gray lilac color. And now the square itself, it measures about 1 foot by 1 foot, and it's going to be part of a blanket. Originally, when I had thought of this blanket idea, I wanted to incorporate a lot of different yarn textures into the blanket because I thought that would make it really fun. And I know that somewhere in this house, I have 2 finished squares in just a plain cotton. I have some drops cotton, and the other one, I don't remember what cotton is made in, but it's made in a cotton. I just can't find them. So I basically started this from scratch, and I only have 1 actual square because while I was filming the video tutorial for this vintage flower square, I realized that the first sample I had crocheted up, which is in a very salmony peach color, I'm missing an entire round. I'm gonna leave this one as a sample. I don't think I can sew them together in the blanket because it's a lot smaller. So I'm holding them up to the camera, and you can see that it's about a row smaller all around. So I could, instead of breaking it apart, just add another double crochet row around it, and it'll have the same number of stitches potentially, but I'll be playing around with that. If you're interested how to crochet this square, just head on to my channel. I'll link it down below as well, and it's honestly a very fun square, and I'm hoping I'll actually be able to finish this blanket because each square takes up about 70 grams, I would like to say, and it's a big square, so with potentially less amount of squares, I can get a lap blanket out of it. The other things that I've been working on are actually all crochet. I haven't even touched knitting since I finished the fall scarf, and I haven't worked on last year's birthday socks, which are nowhere near finished. So I should really get around to working with those. But I'm just having so much fun with all the crochet at the moment. And the first item I will share with you, it's for my husband, and it is his first ever crochet sock, and I'm excited to show it to you. This sock fits him very well, and I am very, very, very happy. I don't think I've posted a picture on Instagram of how it fits him. I probably will after the podcast, just so you can see the progress, but I've crocheted the toe using my U-toe, which you can find in the, I am blanking on the sock pattern name, but it's the only sock pattern I have on my blog right now. I will, of course, as well link it down below, but Vintage Waves, oh my god. The Vintage Waves sock pattern, that's where I first introduced the U-toe, and you can head over to the blog and read up on how to make the toe, but it starts with magic loop and you just crochet around and around, increasing in certain intervals all the way around. It's not only increasing in 2 points. And then I've used a linked double crochet stitch to make the body of the sock, because I was originally going to use an extended single crochet stitch. You guys know how much I love that stitch. But in the lace weight yarn, which this is a lace weight nylon blend from Crafternoon Treats, it did not feel sturdy enough. I didn't think it had enough of a body, the extended single crochet stitch. So I decided to go with linked stitches, and it does feel as thick as the knitted socks do. So I think, yay, we're getting there to creating a, a sock, a crochet sock that can sort of feel like a knitted sock. And I've already finished the heel. I've done the heel flap, and I did the heel part. I was discussing this with Mom, who is a podcaster as well, and she is the host of the Mind and Muse Crafts podcast about fiber arts. But anyway, we were discussing that we thought the heel part should have been higher, and maybe we should have done a bigger gusset, because we're both experimenting with the lace weight nylon blend for crochet socks. But anyway, my husband actually asked for these socks to be a pair of shorties, so I'm gonna have him try them on again, and if they fit him well, I'm trying to decide between doing a crochet cuff or just leaving it no cuff, kind of like the Rose City Rollers, because they fit him very nicely, which I'm super, super proud of, because this has been a shot in the dark. But just so you know, I'm almost finished crocheting that one sock, and I've got all this cake left over, which I haven't weighed it, but it has to be a significant amount. I don't think I've used half the cake yet, so it's exciting news. Oh, and here is the ball band. So as you can see, it's from my friend Catherine of Crafternoon Treats. And this is a Corriedale Polworth blend, 80% and 20% nylon. And I am loving crocheting with it. I have to be 100% honest. I always am, but just putting it out there, I'm honestly loving crocheting with it. Now, other things that I'm crocheting at the moment, I've got another pair of socks and a garment that doesn't look like a garment because it's just started. I think I'm gonna go with the crochet socks though. Crochet sock number 2 that I'm working on is for me, and this was a little bit of an experiment. I wanted to see how the Vintage Waves pattern would crochet up using a commercially dyed yarn, and I chose Mani Pedi from Lion Brand, and this is in the colorway Yoga. It's meant to be a self-striping yarn, and it's got blues chartreuse, which you guys know is one of my favorite colors, and grays. So you're supposed to have stripes of blues, chartreuse, and grays, and this is how it's working up. I've got a lot of spots where the striping is, I would say, about an inch thick, and then we just kind of does its own thing there. I really like this yarn. It feels a lot like the Opal Yarn, or the West Yorkshire Spinners yarn. So I don't know what that will mean for crochet socks. I did have to go up a hook size just because I thought the fabric was coming out really thick. And instead of using my usual 3mm hook, I started using a 3.25mm hook. And I'm hoping they'll be okay. As I said, this is the Vintage Waves sock pattern, which has a little, I'm going to bring it up closer. You can see that's the wave stitch, and in the back it's just got the extended single crochet stitch, which you guys know I love and adore. And if you're curious, this is not a scrunchie. This is a skein saver from Hook Nook, and I got it at Joann's. I was very excited. And I have to say, I like it because my yarn doesn't tangle. So it's just something to keep in mind. I will report back. Sorry about that. My camera cut off because the memory card was full. I hadn't realized I'd already been talking for 25 minutes, so I had to empty it a little bit. Anyway, I don't really remember where I left off, but I think I was telling you about these vintage wave sock pattern and how I will keep you updated on how I feel about the yarn and the pattern worked up in this yarn later on in my crochet journey. So the other thing that I've been crocheting is I had a little strike of inspiration for crochet garments. The crochet garments are back, guys. And I have started it. This is all you see is this little band of maybe 3 inches, and it's worked up in a cotton cashmere blend of yarn that I purchased on Amazon, and it came in a pack of 5. It is Lotus Yarns. I believe this is a autumn wind. It's a 90% cotton, 10% cashmere, and it's a fingering weight yarn, which is perfect for, you know, Florida weather. So that's what I've been working up here, and I will be writing this pattern up when I actually have a front and a back completed, and I will be sharing more about this pattern with you guys. But currently it's crocheted in 2 pieces, in my mind at least, and the top part will have an arcade collar on it, and I'm still not sure if I'm just only going to do the arcade stitch in the front or if I'm going to do it in the back as well. But again, this may all change. I never know. I just picked up yarn and a hook and I kept going. So that just blends us in really well into Aquisitions, and I have acquired several new things. I guess I should have mentioned that the yarn that I was crocheting the vintage wave sock pattern with is a new acquisition as well. I believe I mentioned it's Pedi from Lion brand, and it's the colorway Yoga. And I also shared with you the Amazon acquisition, but I do have a little bit of a wool warehouse package to share with you. And I don't know if you guys follow Emma from the Potter and Bloom podcast and Potter and Bloom everywhere, Instagram, blog, everything's Potter and Bloom. But she came out with a new sock pattern, which was the Joannes sock pattern, and it is a knit pattern, and she knit it using Drops Nord, and I really wanted to knit it using Drops Nord too. Now this might be a little too warm for Florida, but we'll see. My feet always get cold. This is a 45% alpaca, 30% wool, 30% polyamide, 25% wool. Now I know that with the alpaca, these might be more stretchy and they won't go back because alpaca doesn't have a lot of memory, but this yarn feels heavenly. Usually alpaca makes me very itchy, but this is going to be near my feet, well, on my feet, so itchiness, I don't think that's a factor right now. And this colorway that I'm holding up right now from Drops Nord is the number 3 color. I am trying to remember. Yes, this is Pearl Gray, and it really does look like a very light gray, and it's got a halo from the alpaca, and it's got a little bit of darker gray hairs just because of the makeup of the yarn. So I got 2 of this in the Pearl Gray colorway, and I also got 2 in the Deep Ocean Mix colorway, and this one's a really dark teal. It's not showing up true to color. It's a dark teal, and it's got in it blends of kind of a navy blue and then a greener yarn. It's a beautiful, beautiful makeup. It's not a solid color as it's showing up on screen. Yeah, see, that's showing up really royal blue, and it's not. It's a teal. It's a teal color with blues and greens mixed in as well. And so those 2 I bought with the explicit purpose of making the wand socks and the cup socks, which I believe she's coming out with soon. But I also got some Opal yarn, which was in the clearance section, and this is a 38% wool, 32% polyamide, 30% cotton blend, and it's just blue grays. I think it's supposed to be self-striping and self-patterning. It's got some darker blue grays, lighter blue grays, and some grays thrown in. And I bought this to make socks for Edison because of the cotton content along with the wool content. He really enjoys those first socks that I made for him, and the makeup was pretty similar. It was from Lang Yarns, so they're both German companies. And the other thing that I bought was also from Joann's, and it was a hook. It's a crochet hook. This one is a plastic crochet hook. The makeup is, as you can see from me holding it up, it's pretty long. And I believe this is an inline crochet hook. It is not tapered. And this is from the Hook Nook collection. This one is a size 6.5, I believe. Yeah, the size of the hook, it's written right on the throat of the yarn. You won't be able to make it out, but I just thought I'd point that because I was a little freaked out when I threw the packaging away that I wouldn't remember the size of this. Of course, you can always do a hook gauge, but laziness, right? I haven't actually crocheted using this hook, and I really want to. I want to be able to give you guys a proper review and to share with you how using this hook was, because it feels very plasticky. I believe the description said resin, but I'm not quite sure. So I would like to get back to you on the quality of this hook, but I am very excited to use it because it feels nice and sturdy on my hand. And while I tend to crochet in a pencil sort of way, with these bigger yarns, hooks, sorry, and I guess yarns because it corresponds with it, I tend to do the knife. So that's why I bought this. It's also got a very nice thumb rest here. Focus. There we go. It's got a nice thumb rest. So I'm very excited to use it, and I will keep you updated if you want to try it out for yourself. I think they're having a little sale in Joann's, and of course there's always coupons, because have I mentioned Joann's has a ton of coupons? I know you know. I just thought I'd remind you because I'm here to help you along your crochet journey, but also to help you indulge just the tiniest bit whenever you feel that you need to. The other thing that I've been up to is not anything crochet related. I spent a lot of time with my dad and my cousin this past week. They kind of came for the Valentine's Day weekend and we hung out. We did so much things. We went thrifting, and boy did we find lots of stuff. I mean, I found, like I was saying, I found a just sterling silver cutlery set for $25. So I purchased that, and I purchased a lot of other goodies too, actually. But we had fun, and then this last Friday I tried pole fitness for the second time ever. The first time was a bachelorette party, and we had like this 1 hour intro to it, and then this Friday my friend and neighbor texted me 5 minutes before I got off work saying, hey, I have a buddy pass if you want to come. So she took some booty shorts for me to wear during the class, and I could change borrowing her clothes, and it was just fun and achy. I am so sore that I cannot lift my arms past this point, which is right where your shoulder creates just a straight line. I can't lift them past that point. And oh, on Saturday, I also went thrifting because I took my car to the mechanic, and next to the mechanic, there's a thrift shop. And I thought, well, this was kind of an impromptu visit to the mechanic because I left with the explicit purpose of going to that thrift shop and finding some loose-fitting jeans, which are called mom jeans, guys, mom jeans. They're back. They're all the rage now. So I was trying to find loose-fitting jeans, and I figured what better place to go to than a thrift store. And I was like, well, I really need to change the oil in my car, so let me stop by the mechanic, which is next to the thrift store. And then when I got to the mechanic, you know, it's going to be a longer wait than you always expect, and I didn't have any crochet, and my cell phone was out of battery. So I just walked to the thrift shop and I purchased a book, which I started reading, and I'm really enjoying. It's titled The Age of Light, a novel by Whitney Sharer, and I've only read the first 20 pages, but so far I'm liking it. So I'll keep you updated on this as well. All right, so all memory cards are super full, so you'll definitely see a different perspective. You'll see the whole of the Riveret top, my wrist, and the video quality will be a little bit dumbed down because I'm filming on my iPhone. But I just really wanted to get this podcast finished with you guys, and I guess it's just about time I say goodbye, especially since all my cameras and memory cards are full and they're all complaining about lack of batteries. So I guess I'm just going to go ahead and thank you guys for joining me for this crafty 45 minutes. I don't know how long I've been talking, but I had a lot to share with you. So I hope you don't mind that I talked for more than I usually do. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. But most of all, I hope that you've been able to craft while having a little chat with me. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. I have some exciting things planned. I've got a couple more tutorials to film for you guys and just general podcast chatty stuff to keep you up to date. So I will bid you a very fond farewell, and I hope that you guys have a happy crafting week. Bye.